Self-doubt creeps in all the time.
How often was it for you? Was it just in big games? Was it every game? Was it,
Self-doubt can be in moments. You can come into a game with all the confidence and then you miss 7 shots in a row. Now you got self-doubt. You're not prepared for self-doubt. Now you got to get rid of it.
Yeah. How would you get rid of it?
I think you gotta have a dream.
The School of Greatness.
Really?
Yeah.
Please welcome Lewis Howes.
You grew up in not the nicest of conditions and neighborhood,
Yeah.
but what I read from your book, which I'm so excited to talk about, is that you really grew up with a mindset of visualization, dreaming about playing against the greats.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, how did that mindset of visualizing your future come about? Did someone teach you this?
Yeah.
Did you watch guys on TV talk about this? Like, how did you learn this and then manifest it 10, 20 years later?
I give the credit to my sister. And so I grew up in the inner city of Chicago.
Yeah.
And 59th and Prairie is the street I grew up on. And it's a photo in my book, and it's one of my favorite photos of the complex that I grew up in. And my sister and I shared a room. And we shared a room. At first, we didn't have a bed, right? So we shared a room, we didn't have a bed.
Where were you sleeping?
We were sleeping on the floor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we sleep on the floor. I mean, we're like, people see me now and they be like, you was not poor. No, we were poor.
Wow.
Like this was real. So first we were sleeping on the floor, and then eventually, I remember we got a bed. We had one bed to share. And I would go to bed at night crying because I was hungry, or whatever. Like when that stomach, that hunger is different.
Different.
And you lucky enough to eat once, sometimes twice, a day or whatever the case may be, but sometimes it may not happen. And so I would cry all the time. And my sister would always tell me every night to pray. She'd be like, pray, ask God for what you want, right? And so I would do that. And so she would always tell me before it was time to go to bed, because my stomach was hurt so bad. She'd be like, listen, go into your dreams, go into your visions, picture the world that you want. Right? And so every night, that was the thing I was excited about. I was excited to go to sleep so I can go into this imaginary world of like, okay.
I'm warm, I'm full, it's right.
Yeah, like everything you think about, you think about food, hot food. But that's where my visualization came from.
Wow.
And so as a kid, I would always visualize what I wanted from my family, what I wanted from my mother, what one day I wanted from my dad, what I wanted for myself, like so forth and so on, right? And I just carried that vision everywhere I went, because that was the thing that made me feel the best. And so I never lost it, because that feel of like, oh, let me go into my own world. And in my own world, everything was perfect. And so I would try to go into that world all the time.
How old were you when your sister taught you this?
I had to be probably like 5, yeah.
Yeah.
I was young.
How long were you guys in the same room till?
Until she dropped me off over my dad's, like, you gotta go.
Wow.
So until my sister probably dropped me off around 8 years old. Okay. I eventually moved with my dad when I was like 9, and he took custody of me. But I guess around, I don't know, between 6 and 8.
Okay.
My sister eventually was like, you need a man, you need your dad.
Right.
Like, you need something more than I can give. Because my sister was kind of raising me while my mom was going through her journey in life. She was going through her addictions, through life, in drugs and in and out of prison and things of that nature. So my sister she was responsible for me just by being the next sister closer to age.
Wow.
And she eventually told my dad, like, tap, you in.
You're in.
But, we did. And we did share a room together. And, but in that room was a lot of great things happened too. I don't want to make it seem like.
Yeah, you're having fun, you're playing games.
Yeah, like I learned how to read in that room. Like I learned, you do all these things in that room. And so at the time, you don't know how bad it is. Like, I can talk about it now and it's like, what? Wow. But at the time, this is just life.
Right.
This is you just going from one day to the next. And so, but she was kind of my guardian angel.
Wow. My brother, I've talked about this on my show, my brother, when I was 8, went to prison for 4 years for selling drugs to an undercover cop in Ohio, where I was growing up. And it played a toll on the family. It was like a big weight. We would go to the prison every weekend pretty much and spend time in the visiting room. Yeah. What was that like for you with a parent coming kind of in and out of jail at that time? So was it kind of normal, or was it impacting you in a big way, or what?
Yeah, it was. It was normal.
Really?
Let me start off that. It was normal. Like, I was that kid that anytime I seen the police, I would run and hide because I've watched them coming, like handcuff and take away
In the house.
in the house. I've watched them
once-
knock down our door.
Really?
Boom, boom. You know, like movies when it's boom, boom, boom with the police. Like that was a reoccurring thing.
Wow.
You know, in my life, you know, growing up. So I was always afraid. I was always scared of police. And I remember when my mom went to prison, and my dad decided to take me to prison to talk to my mother because I really wanted to see her. I was missing her. This was when I had my dad had just got custody of me. I was like 9 years old.
Wow.
And I remember going in, and just like the movies, I'm hearing all the noises and the buzzers, the this, the that. You see all the people.
Security going
the
through
security.
everything, yeah.
You see the thick glass, and they on the other side. And so I sit on this glass, and I'm sitting here, and I'm waiting on my mother. Just like the movies. My mom come out. She's angry. I can see like the look on her face. She's mad. I later found out that she did not want my dad to bring me to prison. But I insisted on seeing my mother, so my dad took me.
She didn't want you to see her in that
She didn't want to see. She
environment.
didn't want me to see her in that environment. But I just wanted to see my mom. I'm a kid,
Of course.
So I go in there and talking to my mom through a phone, and it tore me apart. Like you can't grab, you can't touch, you can't do anything, and then at the end you hang up the phone and you just leave, right? And I just remember crying so bad when I left, and I told my dad I never want to go back. Please don't ever take me back in there. But like seeing my mother on the other side of that glass is an image that I will never get out of my head, never. And I was 9 years. I was 30 years ago.
Wow.
30 years ago, 39, and I can never get that image out of my head.
You only went one time?
One time. It hurt too bad.
Yeah.
To see someone you love,
Yeah,
your
it's
mother,
tough. Yeah, it's tough.
not understanding everything, don't understand why she's on the other side of that glass. You know, it hurt to the point where I didn't want to go back, but just that fuel. Like I used so much fuel through my life, and that was one of the fuels I was like, okay, I got to get my mama out of this.
Right.
You know?
What would you say was the biggest challenge that you had to heal from your childhood, from growing up? The biggest pain or the obstacle that you felt stayed with you for the longest? Maybe you're still facing some of it
Right.
that you've had to learn how to heal, to let go of.
That's a great question, because I feel like I'm still, you know how it goes. Like you go through all that, and then you just go through your life, and at some point, some of the things will come back. And so for me, like getting into therapy is something that was important once I retired, because my outlet became basketball. So I put everything into the sport.
If you don't have it anymore,
Right.
what do you do?
What do you do?
With that energy, those thoughts that,
Yeah, and you know what you do. You're going to put it off on the people that's closest to you, the ones that love you, the ones that's at home, the ones you see every day. You're going to put that rage and that anger, and so I think what I tried to do is I tried to go and I tried to rebuild my relationships with my parents.
Really?
Yeah, because like one thing I've never done is I don't judge them for their journey. You know, like it's, especially as a person who's trying to live, like I got to figure it out every day. Every day it's a choice to do this, a choice not to do this, and you know you can make the wrong step and the wrong turn. And my parents did. They took the wrong step, and it took them down a long track that was, you know, that affected myself and my sister and our family. But I don't judge them for it because, you know, they didn't try. That was not their goal, right? It's life. And so for me, it was about getting to know my parents and rebuilding a relationship, asking questions. Maybe they came out a little harsh sometimes. Maybe they even came out at the wrong time. But I just really needed to like to get to know and understand why. Understand as an adult why we do things. Understand that, okay, they had addictions. Okay, I have an addiction. Right now, my addiction is basketball, but I'm addicted to something. So I have an addictive personality. They had an addictive personality. This is why. They just trying to understand. And that was my biggest thing to help me start getting over the hump, was really communicating with my parents.
Wow. And how has that process been like? Have you been able to heal certain things, or?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have. Maybe my wife. You can ask my wife. She would know a little bit more, because my wife has told me that I need to heal. You know, and I'm like, no, I'm good. But really, you know, she knows. And so I remember when I was 30 years old, me and my dad relationship was kind of rocky. You know, my dad took custody of me at 9. That man macho thing started building as I got older in high school, and I started feeling like I was a man. I moved out at 16 years old. I moved with Zaire and Zaire's mom, and I lived with her. I lived with my girlfriend at the time. And me and my dad relationship was just kind of rocky in a sense. I loved him, but we couldn't see eye to eye, and I was too blinded by, you know, my I don't know, not my hate, but I had this thing where I guess in a sense it's like weakness, right? It's like I felt like my dad was weak.
Emotionally, mentally, physically?
I don't know what it was. It was just more so of like, I'm taking care of the family now.
Oh, wow. I'm stepping up. You're not doing your role, I'm going to do it.
And I felt the way about that. And I missed forget the rest of the things he did for me. You know what I'm saying? To help get me to this point, I was just so into like, I guess I felt the way that I had to. And all the responsibilities at, 19, 20, whatever, it started becoming my responsibilities. And I was angry at my dad for it, right? So I remember at 30 years old, I decided to, you know what, I think it's time. My wife kept telling me, she's like, your life is not going to be complete. You have missing pieces. It's a missing hole in your life, and your dad is one of them. You need to fix it. And I was like, all right. And I decided to go to lunch with my father.
At 30?
Just at 30. Just go to lunch. 4-hour lunch. And at that point in life, I was older. My kids was getting older. I started to realize that my dad ain't that crazy as I thought he was.
Right. You're raising kids now.
I'm raising kids now.
And at this point, you'd already won an Olympic gold medal. You already won a couple NBA championships.
Yeah, I was at least one in. I know, maybe two.
Yeah.
maybe two in.
Yeah.
I think I was 2 in at that time. Yeah. And I've accomplished so much in sport and to the world. But, I still was missing something. And it was was my mom and my dad. And so I had to fix it with my dad. And like to this day, 9 years later, it's only been 9 years, but me and my dad relationship has just been developing and growing. And like I feel more of a whole as a person. Just from that conversation, that communication, that look each other in the eye, that apologize, that say I'm sorry for this, but also too, you understand that my dad was thinking a certain way. He thought that I felt this way when I didn't. I thought he felt this way, and if you don't communicate, you just let it go and it fester and it becomes something.
Where do you think you'd be now if you didn't start having those conversations at 30? Where do you think what would be happening to you inside?
I'd be searching for something.
Really?
I'd be trying to grab on to something, to someone, something, because, some relationships in your life are just that important, if they are that important. And the relationship, with my parents is just that important to me. Right. And if I didn't have that, that means that I would have to grab for something else to try to fill that void. Yeah. Right? And that's what, that's what kids do. That's what, young women do when their father's not in their home and they don't have a male presence. They go look for that male presence, and a lot of times they get into relationships with men that, that becomes toxic in certain ways, because of what they're missing and what they're looking for, whatever the case may be, right? So I would have been looking for it, and I have at times until I was able to patch that hole up, and so now I'm not looking for that. I'm not looking, like me and my dad I can't say we have a father-son relationship. I feel like we have more of a friendship than we have a father. So I don't go to my dad and say, hey, Dad, I got these financial problems and I need help. I don't have that because I was the first one in the family to go through the financial problems. And I sit down with my dad and say, hey,
Because I did take care of your finances.
Yeah, it's different. I'm in a different role. And so that role brought on, the challenges in our relationship. It's because I've been in that seat for almost 20 years now.
Who was the most influential adult figure in your life growing up? Besides your sister, and what was the biggest lesson that adult figure taught you?
This is sad. Michael Jordan.
Really?
Adult?
Yeah.
It's like.
Did you have a relationship with him though?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just from it's a role model.
Yeah.
Someone to look up to. Someone to aspire to be. It was such an important time. That's how it's weird how important sports or moments or things that people do are to you. And that's why I'm able to write books. So that's why me and my family speak out on issues, right? And we share private things because I was that kid that Michael Jordan didn't understand the impact he made on me just by being himself or just by, speaking out on, on certain things or facing the media after the bad game or whatever it was. I looked at it all. And so in my life, all the adults was off in their world and their madness doing their thing. I didn't have one. I was like, man, I want to be like Uncle Richard when I grow up.
Yeah, you're right.
whatever.
I want to be like Uncle Mike.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to be like, and so I gravitated to a person that I didn't know, that I never knew I would meet, but I just wanted to be like that guy.
So were you like consuming were you just trying to watch everything he said on TV at that time? Because there was no social media, obviously, when we were growing up. Or were you buying all the magazines and seeing what he was reading? Did you have posters on the wall? Like, how were you connecting to his message when it wasn't as available as it is today for people?
Yeah, I would watch Come and Fly With Me a million times, over and over. I watch how he did interviews.
Yeah.
You watch how you walk.
Yeah, everything. The swag.
Everything. Yeah. You watch it all because for me, I didn't see anybody that was in my life that I was like, oh, I want to be like that person. Mm-hmm. So I had to go find someone. Yeah. Once again, I had to think I had to go into this vision. I had to think outside of the box in a sense, and outside the box is outside of my community and my family, and I found Michael Jordan. I grew up in Chicago. WGN News, shout out to WGN News. I was able to tune in and watch the game. We got the interviews. I was after the game, me and my brothers are sitting watching the TV waiting for Jordan to interview. You know what I mean? It's like 20 minutes later, but he just became that much of a figure in our lives. Wow. Yeah, it's crazy.
What was it like when you first met him? Were you
surreal? So the first time I met him, I get drafted to the Heat, and
you're 20, 21, and
21 years old.
Yeah,
21 years old.
Fifth pick, is that right?
Fifth pick.
I mean, I got the rookie card right here.
Pick, there you go.
Number 5 pick.
It was a couple months before that.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So I get drafted, and I do a draft party in Chicago, right? I'm from Chicago.
Yeah.
I do a big draft party.
Don't tell me he shows up to that.
So
no, he does not.
I'm in the party, bro.
No, he does
not. The party
not.
is crazy. My cousin come and tap me on the shoulder in the middle of the party. I'm dancing. I'm having a great time. He's like, yo, Michael Jordan's outside. They won't let him in. And I'm like, bro, stop playing with me.
They won't let him in?
He said they won't let him in. So immediately I'm like, bro, stop playing. Why would you do that? This is my moment. Why would you play with me? And he's like, I seen the look on his face. He's like, Michael Jordan's outside. They won't let him in. We take off. So we running through the club. We get to the front. I'm like, what the? I say something to the front. He's outside.
Oh my gosh.
We go outside. Now this is epic. I'll run outside, and Michael Jordan is sitting out there on a motorcycle with I say 50 dudes. It probably was 20, but it just looked like 50 dudes.
Swarmed.
All on motorcycles. Mike's sitting there, and I'm like, no way. The closer and closer, like every step, I'm like, is this Jordan? Is this Jordan? And then I got up close, and he was just like, hey man, I just wanted to come by.
Oh my God.
Show you some love. Chills. Congratulations, being drafted. Like, just that whole thing. And I'm like, Mike, come in. He's like, nah, I'm good. I just really come by to show you some love. And that was the first time I met my idol. He came to my draft party to show me some love. And he was on a motorcycle with motorcycle gear.
That's sick, man.
He looked so dope.
Was this after you got selected or before?
This was after.
So you got drafted. It was like that night afterwards.
It was like maybe like a week or so later.
Okay, gotcha.
Like after I got drafted, I flew to Miami. Then I went back to Chicago and I was like, party.
Dude.
And Mike showed up.
He never came to a game or saw anything like
later,
in high school, college in the Chicago area. He never came out.
I wasn't a big time player like that.
Really?
From the standpoint of people coming to watch me play. Nobody come to Richards High School in Oakland, Illinois to watch me play. I wasn't that good, I guess, right? So most of the world didn't hear about me until triple-double against Kentucky, Final Four.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's sick. So he came out, 21.
21.
When was the first time you had like a real, like proper conversation? Do you remember that?
Proper conversation?
More than just like a, hey, good, thank you so much, like,
Let's see.
And what was the best piece of advice that he told you?
The best piece. So I eventually, as I'm trying to think about it, I eventually end up being with the Jordan brand.
That's pretty sick.
Right?
That's pretty sick.
Like Jordan ended up like personally. Oh, it was crazy. It was like, what? Like this happening. And it's crazy because you think it got to be something that's so like philosophical. Like he got to tell me something. Right. It was something so simple. He just told me to go get it. We was an All-Star weekend, Dallas, and we was doing an All-Star party. And my whole family was there. Jordan was there. My family they've never met Jordan. And my brothers and everybody's there, and we're doing a Jordan party. And Jordan is amazing with everybody. We're all family. We all with the Jordan family is what it is. And we're talking, and he put his arm around me, and he said, tomorrow, go get it. That's all he said. And I'm like, what is he talking about?
What does this mean?
He was like, yo, I want you to go get it. And so when I got there, He had these sneakers for me. It was the first time I was wearing them. It was these silver Jordans that was like the 2010 Jordans. I was supposed to be the one who was leading the charge of the brand. I had just signed with them. And when I got in the locker room and I got on the court, I realized what it meant. He meant go get that MVP.
Ooh.
He meant go for it. Go
win
create your
thing.
history.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and because we were in Dallas, it was about 110,000 people watching the game. We played the game at the Dallas Cowboy Stadium.
Wow.
And he was like, go get it. And it's crazy, right? That's like, go get it.
Yeah.
But for me, that's all was in my mind while I was playing the game. Go get it.
Wow.
And I went and got it.
You went and got it. Yeah, you went and got it, man, multiple times. Gosh, that's interesting. Yeah. So it wasn't like go have a fun time and like just enjoy the moment and have fun. It was like go be the best and dominate.
Yeah, go do something special. You know, don't just be here. Don't be happy to be here. And you wearing my shoes. You better go do something.
You represent the brand. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when Jordan told me when I first signed with the brand, he said, hey man, I don't want to see these shoes on the floor. I want to see these shoes in the air.
Ooh.
Because I would always fall.
Right.
I always fell. And so today, actually, it's all over social right now. It's the day that I dunked on Andy Varejao. It's one of the best dunks. It's one of the best dunks of my career, but some say top 10 in NBA history, right? That was Jordan's first game.
The guy with the long hair?
Mm-hmm. With Cleveland.
Oh, yeah. I'm from Ohio, so.
Yeah, Andy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Andy. Jordan's first game to come and see me play in person as a Jordan athlete.
Oh, as a Jordan athlete.
As a Jordan athlete. Yeah. He was there before when I was in Chicago playing as a rookie. And that's a whole nother story. Oh, that is a story. I got that story. But anyway, that's so in my mind, all these things, I was like, yo, he got to see these shoes in the air. And so I'm coming down the court and I see Andy and he backing up. And I'm like, I'm going for it.
Go get it.
I'm going for it. I'm going to get it.
Going to get it.
And if you see the highlight, if you guys play the highlight, I dunk it, right? Boom. And I'm about to go to the bench with my team and like go that way and talk some. But I was like, nope, Jordan's over here.
No way.
Stepped over Andy and went that way. And I'm like, that's how you do it. But I'm really over there like, I wanted Jordan to see me, right? You know, wanted him to be proud of me. And so then they showed Jordan's reaction on the video.
He's like, yeah, good looking shoes.
Good looking shoes. You see the shoes though.
see them in the air. Yeah, just can represent the brand.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Were you going to say another story?
Oh, yeah. So first game back in Chicago, my rookie year. And I'm coming back home. The night before, we played the Washington Wizards, right? And so leading up to it, I had like, I forget the number, but I was scoring like 20 points every game. So I was balling.
Yeah.
And I'm tuning up to go to Chicago. So I'm feeling good.
Get ready.
So long story short, I go up, Jared Jeffries, my guy, I ain't gonna say he undercut me, but like he kind of went hit my leg a little bit and I fell and I came down and I had to brace myself. And I ended up breaking my wrist in 11 places. Oh. I ended up breaking 11 bones in my wrist or whatever the case may be, right? But that night, we leave after the game, I'm hurting and everything, and we go to Chicago because we playing the Bulls the next night. And the guys on my team, the vets, was like, yo, we about to go out, go to this little bar area, come with us. I'm like, cool. So I go, I run into Michael Jordan. Now, this is the first time I'm actually in his presence, and like it's not on the motorcycle. This is the next time.
Okay, so you have like 5 to 10 minutes with him.
I have about 2 to 3.
Okay, which feels like 2 to 3 hours. Yeah, you're like every moment. Yeah,
every moment I have like 2 to 3, and so mind you, I'm not playing the next day in my mind because my first time back, I'm hurt. I ain't trying to come out here and embarrass myself. I'm gonna wait till we come back. And so Jordan, we was talking. He's like, man, you've been playing so good. I cannot wait to see you tomorrow. I'll be there.
Oh, shoot. You can't back out now.
Now I got to play.
So
I got to play.
How'd you do?
Not good. I had a nice dunk.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't.
That was not good, yeah.
You
You had a broken wrist.
After that game, I was like, yo, I need to see what's wrong with my wrist. And I was in the cast for a few months after that.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. But the fact, just the power of an idol, just the power of an influence, you know what I'm saying? Like, it goes a long way. And that's why I tell those stories because Michael didn't know that all these moments, whether he was talking to me, whether he was playing a game of basketball, he didn't know the influence that he was having on a little kid, growing up in the city of Robbins, Illinois, and Chicago. And his influence was so impactful on me, like even to the point when I was 21 years old, in the NBA, I played a game that I should not have played because Michael was like, oh, I'll be there. I can't wait to see you tomorrow.
Oh, man.
Broken wrist and everything.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, I don't think I ever told nobody that.
That's crazy.
Like, publicly, yeah, so.
You've mentioned your wife a couple of times and how she's really sounds like been an incredible stand for your growth personally, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. I'm curious, I've asked a few people this who are in incredible marriages and have great wives. I'm curious, what is the thing you love about your wife the most and why?
My wife gonna see this, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I got to give a real good answer. What do I love about my wife the most and why? So, my wife asked me this the other day.
Really?
This is what's funny about it.
She's like, what do you love about me the most?
She DM'd me.
She DM'd you on Instagram?
Yeah.
And said, what do you love about me the most? Wow.
Yeah. She did. That's why I took a deep breath, because I'm trying to remember what I wrote her.
Yeah.
But
what's on your heart right now?
On my heart right now, what I love about my wife the most is it's kind of selfish, because I love the way she catches me when I'm about to fall. I love the way she picks me up when I have fallen. I love the way she's jumped in the lives of my kids and became a big influence on their lives, which is, it's not easy, being a step parent, being a bonus mom, whatever it is. And she's a huge influence in their lives. Wow. So selfishly, I love the way my wife loves me.
How does she love you?
I think wholeheartedly with everything she has. I'm going through life trying to find out what love is myself. This is all new. And, the one thing about my wife and our relationship, and, we share a lot. We have a lot of private moments that people don't get to see and don't know, and we don't share. But as I told her, I said, you know what? If we was not married, we will be best friends. We would be best friends.
You would be.
We would be. Because we're like best friends now. We're like best friends. It's like one of my favorite people. And even though we're married and you want your space, you need this and everybody need this, I feel like we work together as partners.
Wow.
In life. Even when I walk in a room and I know she want to be, it's quiet and she ain't talking and I may say two things and she ain't said nothing, I'm like, okay, she needed time. I'm out. I'll be back. Go hit some balls.
Just the hoops or,
yeah. It's just really knowing each other. So I think, just like you know your best friend. You know everything. You ask a man about their best friend, you know everything about them. Ask a woman about their best friend, know everything about them. Ask somebody about their partner, you'd be like, what's their favorite color? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if it's your best friend, you get a chance to know, a lot of things about them. And so, yeah, that's what I love.
There's an amazing photo in your book with you and LeBron and your wife on the,
the Laker game, the last game.
And she's like, screaming at LeBron or you or whatever, just screaming at you playing defense, I think, against LeBron. And you said in one of the captions, one of the things I love about her is how competitive she actually is in life. And she's sweet as all can be, but she's super competitive, which was amazing to watch.
You saw in that photo.
It's incredible. She wants to kill someone, and it's like rip someone's head off or something. It's amazing, man. I love it. I'm curious, what is your most proud moment of all the incredible moments you've had?
Oh,
maybe it's and
that's tough.
Maybe it is winning a championship or winning the gold medal or dunking over someone
that's tough.
Playing against Kobe or whatever it is. Maybe it is something big, or maybe it's something that no one even knows about behind the scenes. I'm just curious, of your entire career, most proud moment for you.
Of my career, not of my life, of my career.
Your career.
Okay, that's different then.
Yes.
Getting drafted, because that was the moment that showed me I can do anything. I tell my son this all the time. I worked hard just to get drafted. Because once I got drafted, then it really started. But
a lot of guys get drafted in the first round and don't make it.
Yeah. And I know people get drafted, he's done this, he's done that, he's done that. All those things are amazing. The championships, the individual accolades, all that's amazing. But as a young kid from the inner city of Chicago that grew up a little bit like I told you, it's so much more about how I told you, that didn't know at the age of 19 what was next. I had a kid at 19, 20 years old, that did not get his ACT scores and was not able to play. All these things that kept trying to knock me down. To be able to pick myself up, to be able to allow the people around me to help pick me up, and to get me to that point where David Stern comes out and say with the 5th pick, the Miami Heat select Dwyane Wade.
Give me chills.
That moment for me will forever go down in history as I can do anything. We can do anything, because I don't supposed to be here. I've watched them try to, nope, Get back. Here go a test. Can you pass this test? No, you ain't gonna make it. Like, it's all these things. It's all, oh, you're gonna have a kid now. You really ain't gonna make it. It's all these things. I'm like, you will not stop me. I will keep going. And I did. And so that's the moment for me in my career, out of all the things. That moment, man, I put my head down. I remember I did that. I had my son on my lap, you know, while I was in the draft room. And I was just looking around like, man, I know all these guys here I know their names. I know some of their stories. I don't know all of them. I know some of their stories. But I know my story, and I know I shouldn't be here.
Wow.
And to be there and to get picked 5th and to go back there, you know, to grab that hat, to go in the back. I remember walking in the back, and LeBron was back there because he was the first pick. Melo was back there because he was the 3rd pick. Chris Bosh was back there because he was the 4th pick. And we all, you know, we were young, we know each other, and we like, yo!
We made it, yeah.
Just in the back, just all of us, just 4 of the top 5 picks in the draft we were all cordial. And you know what I mean? Melo and Brian had a relationship, all of us had a relationship. Me and Chris, like, we all were cordial. And just to be young guys back there, like, yo, Melo, yo, Brian, we made it, we made it. They knew they were going top.
Right.
I didn't know.
You didn't know you were going top 5?
No.
Really?
I had no idea.
What did you think maybe? Hopefully in first round, second round?
No, I knew. I knew first round.
Yeah.
Like, when I get the draft day, they was like, okay, D-Wade can go anywhere from the 4th pick to like 20.
Oh, wow.
So it was a wide range. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going 7. I'm going 7 to the Chicago Bulls. Like, I worked
the story, the dream, everything. Yeah.
Oh, the dream, the Jordan.
Yeah.
I worked off of them twice, all the media, all the coverage. I'm like, I'm going to the Bulls. And the Heat picked me at 5, so I didn't get a chance to go to the Bulls.
Wow. Well, you did play with them for a season.
Yeah,
1 year. Yeah. That's
I lived the dream out for a year.
Yeah,
I did.
And then you played for my team in Ohio for like a half a season or something.
Yeah, like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I was like, that's cool though. Man, that must have been crazy with all you guys back there.
Yeah, man, it was a moment.
And then to see all of you do so well for so long.
Yeah.
That's kind of rare. Like the top 5 picks do that well for that long. Usually there's a few busts and a few people that kind of fizzle out.
4 of the top 5 picks.
4 of the top 5 picks.
Darko he didn't have the career in basketball. He has another career, I heard, but he didn't have a career in basketball
That you guys did.
Yeah, so 4 of the top 5.
That's pretty big, man.
We did all right.
You did pretty good, man.
You did all right.
Balled out for a long time.
A couple Hall of Fame careers up in there.
It was baller.
Yeah.
I mean, how many was that? 3 in the top 75? Or how many made the top 75 team?
Yeah, Melo, Brian, myself in the 2003 class. Yeah,
that's pretty
not
big. Pretty big.
Not bad.
I'm curious about. I had Kobe on a few years ago, and I was more. I've told this story on my show before, but I was more impressed with what I witnessed before I interviewed him than the interview. The interview for me was incredible. He was unbelievable how real and honest and open he was. But I got to his office about an hour and 40 minutes before the interview to set up, because I booked the interview actually the night before. He had a podcast that he was launching called The Punies. And I remember getting there early. No one was in the lights were off in the office. His assistant like unlocks the door, lets me in. She's there and lets me in. Lights come on. She's like, okay, here's where we normally film in this part of the office. And I was like, well, can I see the rest of it? I don't know I'm assuming you've been to his office. I'm not sure.
I've never been.
Never been there.
No.
So it's kind of a big open room, and then there's like these glass windows with conference rooms on either side in a hallway that goes down.
Okay.
And then it opens up into another big open room. And so I walk down the hallway of these glass kind of conference room windows, and the lights are off in these rooms. And I open up into the next room, and I was like, there's nothing here that looks good to film. Let's go back. So I go back, and as I'm walking past the last window to open back up in the open room, I see a shadow in the back of the corner of the room, sitting. And I take a double glance as I'm walking by, and I'm like, to the assistant, I was like, is that Kobe? This is like 6:30 a.m. And I was like, is that Kobe? The lights are off. He's sitting in the back of the room. No computer on, no phone, just kind of sitting there looking up. But he didn't see me, or I don't think he did. He's kind of turned his back to the window. And I was thinking, what's he doing here? She was like, he was the first one in here. This is after he won his Oscar and like all of his awards and stuff and retired and everything. And I go, he's the first one in here. He doesn't have to be in here. He's like, well, he was working out with his daughter this morning and then he came here before anyone else. And he sat in there and was just like meditating or visualizing. I'm not sure what he did in there for the next hour and a half before he came out. But I was so impressed with that moment.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
Like no one else saw that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this guy doesn't have to do this. After he's retired and had all the success, he doesn't have to, but he was still doing it. And that was cool for me to witness someone of that level of greatness.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Beyond his career.
Yeah, bro.
I'm curious, what was one of your favorite moments that you got to witness with him? Maybe you've already talked about it, but just curious, whether it be playing or behind the scenes, was there something that you really were inspired by?
Well, I mean, everything.
Yeah.
I always talk about my favorite player is Michael Jordan, but my next two, like I say, okay, if he's one, then 1A and B or whatever, however you want to do it, is Kobe and Iverson.
Yeah.
Right? And so idolize the guy as well. And to be able to come into the relationship, and also too, it sucked when I got in. My second year, they pinned me and Kobe versus each other because Shaq came to Miami, and it was. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. It's my guy. But I guess the moments for me, which is probably the most special moments, is the Olympic moments, because that's the time where you get a chance to really get to know someone. You're spending we together for a month and a half. The Olympics was like over a course of years. Like we trained together in Vegas, and I talk about plenty of stories. And one of my favorite stories is similar to yours. I remember getting into one of the cities, and very late, and we couldn't really sleep. You on all kind of time zones, whatever. So, my crew, with Brian, I'm with, Mello and CP and, the crew.
Yeah.
We all together. And so we decide, we like, yo, tomorrow, man, first person up, wake me up. We're going to go to breakfast. We're going to go eat, whatever. Like, the food should open up at this hour. We were hungry.
What Olympics was this?
This was 2008.
Okay.
2008 Olympics. And so.
This is China.
This is, but this Beijing. Is on our way.
Okay, you're touring Europe or something. And
we're touring our way there.
Yeah, gotcha.
And now, but we get in late, we tired, whatever, but we hungry, but we like, yo, let's go to sleep, and then let's get up so we can eat. Like, we ain't gonna sleep long, we know it, right? So, anyway, long story short, we all go down there. As we get down there, Kobe's sitting at the table.
Already,
he's sitting at the table. And he's sitting there. So imagine this, it's like this. Yeah. So imagine this table, and we're walking from that way, and Kobe's sitting where you are, and it's his security guy right here. So we're walking, and then he's like, "What? He got ice on his knees?" So I'm like, what? In my mind, I'm like, "Wait, he got ice on his knees? What are you doing?" So we walk over. "What's up, Cole?" In Kobe Bryant fashion, he look at us, and we like, "Yo, what's good?" He like, "Nothing, just got my second workout in."
He already finished. He just finished his workout. He did not work out already.
He already worked out.
No, come on.
I think he did a basketball workout on the court. And I think he did a weight room workout.
Before you guys got to breakfast, early morning.
We were only asleep for about 3 hours.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay. I had always heard about the work ethics of Kobe Bryant, but I never seen him. I'm like, I work hard too.
Yeah.
At that moment.
You got Tim Grover training.
Yeah, I was like, I work hard. At that moment, a different respect from all of us.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I gotta get my together. I gotta start getting up early, And so the same thing is, he set himself apart in so many different ways, and it wasn't. Maybe that night, maybe I scored more points than him the next night. Who? It wasn't about that. The mental, edge that he had on people. He understood that I'm playing on a team with all these great young players who are trying to come and take the spot, and I'm not only gonna do what they do, just as good or better. I'm gonna do more than them, a lot more than them, just to separate myself,
That's craziness.
And so that was like, it's plenty of Olympic story, but that for me, it always sticks out of being able to see, just walk. And I'm 2008. I'm good too. Like
You're sweet.
LeBron's bad. We were some bad
You're
boys.
Sweet.
It was a different level.
That's nuts.
And that level made us go to a different level.
Man, that's inspiring.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you sustained that level in your career? I mean, did you step it up to that? Or are you like, okay, I'm going to step it up, but it's still not this insanity level of like 2 workouts at 3 a.m. or something before everyone gets there?
No, I never got there.
Yeah.
I feel like you got to find what works for you too.
Yeah, of course.
You're
living a life, you're having fun. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I was more so I was a midnight workout guy. I was, when I came in the NBA, I already had a kid. I was already married.
Yeah.
So, I was one of those guys who would go work out early and then go practice and then come back home, spend time with the family, everybody sleep. Now I'm driving back into the arena at 12 and come back. I did that. I was that guy. Right. So, you got to find out
what works for you.
What works for you. But in that moment of the Olympics, when I know we're tired, these flights are long.
Yeah,
we're playing, we're traveling, we're practicing and that. He's older than us. And to see that,
That's another level.
that's a different level.
You always looked like you had so much confidence on the court. Like, we were talking beforehand how you were saying how you missed like 5 seconds left, getting the ball, and it's down to you. What is this moment with the stadium screaming or they're booing at you wherever you're at? And you always looked like you had so much confidence and poise and grace, and you were like an artist on the court. I think of athletes as artists because I looked at myself as an artist playing football and improvising with the ball in the air and catching the ball and stuff. Did you ever doubt yourself? Did you ever have insecurities? And
Yes.
if so, how did you learn to manage or overcome self-doubt so it didn't cripple you?
Oh my, self-doubt creeps in all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know because I don't get to talk to every great human being in the world, but I'm sure all of them have and do have self-doubt at times.
How often was it for you? Was it just in big games? Was it every game? Was it,
Self-doubt can be in moments. You can come into a game with all the confidence and then you miss 7 shots in a row. Now you got self-doubt.
Right.
You missed the open layup. Now you got self-doubt. Self-doubt comes at random times. You're not prepared for self-doubt. Now you got to get rid of it.
Yeah. How would you get rid of it?
Many different ways. Sometimes your teammates got to help you get out of it. Sometimes your coaches got to help you get out of it. Sometimes a coach got to draw up a play to give me an easy one.
Right. How will you tip it in?
Give me an easy one. And sometimes sometimes you're looking around the arena, you see a kid in your jersey.
Ooh.
You like, all right, it's bigger than me. It's not about, for me, I use a lot of things. Like I'm one of them people who can get motivated very easily. But in the sense of getting motivated very easily, you can be down on yourself and have self-doubt very easily. Not thinking you're great enough, not thinking you're enough, lacking confidence in your shot, and whatever it was, I definitely had a lot of self-doubt. But I was always able to pull from things or pull from people and allow them to bring me back. Wow. I always tell my son that allow the people around you. God has put these people in your life for a reason. So allow your friends, allow me, allow the people you trust around you to bring you back. Because we're going to have those moments of self-doubt when we feel, you feel you ugly. You feel, I wish I was tall. I wish my feet looked like whatever. We doubt a lot. And you got to have people around you to bring you back. You got to allow them to bring you back. And that's all I always tell my son, that, allow it. So right now, and I'm having moments, I'll be like, have your anger, have your disgust with missing a shot, whatever. Allow people around you, though, to bring you back. Don't stay in it too long. Wow. Because you get lost. You go down a dark road if you stay in self-doubt too long. It's dark.
Absolutely.
And so life is hard enough. Life is hard enough. It's been hard enough for me. It's hard enough for all of us every day, right? So you don't want to add nothing extra on what's already hard. And so, the thing with self-doubt for me is, once again, it's just allowance. It's allowing people that I've put in my circle, that God has put around me, to bring me out of it.
Yeah. I love how you talked about your sister got you into these kind of dream visualization states when you were a kid, and you started using that when you were playing the game.
Yeah.
Did you have a specific routine right before every game or in between timeouts or anything where you put your mindset in a certain frame? Or was it more just, I'm just showing up and doing my thing? Or how did your mind show up for you in those moments?
Yeah, great. So how my book is set up, I set it up by the first chapter that you will see is called Pregame. And then it's first quarter, second, third, fourth, and then postgame.
Halftime also.
Right, halftime, sorry. That's when that's the celebrity side.
Yeah.
Halftime. So look at him.
I went through the book, man.
Look at
I saw the digital version.
Look at you, bro.
I went through everything,
That
man.
was impressive.
I saw everything, man.
That was impressive.
I got you.
So pregame, and I talk about pregame, but pregame is getting prepared for the game, right? And so I think over the course of my career, I never was a person who did the same thing every time. Like I didn't put my right sock on before I put my left. So, but you do try to find things that work. Some of them stick with them. And so some of my more iconic pregame things when it came to what the fans sing was two things. One, I used to do these 3 pull-ups on the rim before every game.
Put your head up through it, right?
Yeah, try to flex my muscls a little bit,
What's up?
And it was a way to kind of get jacked and get ready for the game, do a couple pull-ups. All the attention go to me, everybody, and I scream, the microphone is in there. And one of the other things I did on court wise was a part of my pregame. Like this is all a part of my pregame because I need these things are what I've put into my pregame of what I need before I play. If I don't go do that, I feel off. Something's off. And so I was at a dinner recently with a lot of friends, but one of them is James Gordon. And James, on record, to say I'm his favorite basketball player, and he tells me why.
Okay,
right. And so the reason I'm his favorite basketball player, long story short, he didn't know anything about basketball. When he comes to the States, he goes to a game. It's in Miami. He's sitting next to a guy. He's like, "Hey, who should I be cheering for?" The guy say, "Number 3. You should watch him." And so I come out, and before the game, I will always, go dap all my teammates, my coaches. I go dap everybody at the scores table, all the announcers, everybody.
Referees, yeah.
Right? Not the refs. Not dapping. But then I will go to each end of the floor with all four sides, and I'll go and I'll just get everybody like this, right? And I'll run to the next side, and I'll be like, and I just get everybody lifted. And so he was just like, that was so amazing to him because he was just like, this was his first game. And like when I did that, the energy in the arena went up and he was like, oh my God, I love this guy, right?
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that like I needed to do. I needed to like show respect and show love to the people who spend their hard money to come and watch us play.
Absolutely.
I'm letting you know I'm about to try to give you my best tonight. I'm ready. And so that was one of my things from a pregame standpoint on the court, that I would do, that I needed to do that. It's kind of like if anybody know anything about me, they were like, oh yeah, he did the chin-ups, or yeah, he did like this. People knew that. It was like in video games and all kind of stuff, right? But in the locker room, the most important thing for me pregame, which I did every game, was I needed a moment by myself to quiet the noise. I had already prepared. I'm already dressed. I've worked out. Coach has said his thing. I've always took moments, but I will go in the back in the shower, I will go in the back in the steam room, I go in the back in the bath, in the toilet area, wherever I can find quiet time. I needed quiet time. I needed quiet time to once again visualize what I wanted in this game. I visualized before every game how I wanted the game to go. Wow. Did it always go that way? Of course not. Yeah. But always the power of visualization. And so before every game, I would take 5 minutes and I'll visualize how I wanted the game to go.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and that was one of my pregame.
I love that.
In the locker room.
I love that. And what about when you were losing, which didn't happen often? How did you frame your mindset in those places, whether you're down by 2 or 20, which probably didn't happen that often.
Oh, it happened.
But most of the times, and you're like, in your championship runs and everything, it's like you guys were winning all the time. But when you were behind, where would your mind go? Would you go focus inward? Would you go focus on teammates? Would you focus on a coach? Would you focus on, what would your mind think about in order to bring you guys back?
I'm sure a lot of different things. But I probably, one of my greatest strengths, I think, I don't know if anybody else think it, is the even keelness of me, right? Like my personality and everything. I kind of stay real even keel.
Not too high, not too low.
Not too high, not too low. And that was one message that Coach Spo, even though it seemed like that message followed me. Like my high school coach would say it in his own way. Coach Spo would talk about it in his own way. Talk about the ebb and flow. He talk about, listen, let's stay here. Even when we won 27 games in a row, it was like, yo, let's stay here. But we want to go there. He like, let's stay here. Wow. So I think that was one of my greatest strengths, was the ability to stay even keel. And so when you know your team is talented enough to come back from 20, you can have confidence. When you on a team and you know you're not talented enough to come back from 20, you're gone. You're like, well, this one's over. Let me get my numbers, whatever it is. Like, so different teams, depending on if you're down 20, or it gives you different kind of swagger and confidence. No lie. I'm not going to say that every team I played on, I was like, no, we good. No, some teams I'm like, no, guys, we in trouble. Right. We got to start. We can't start the game off getting down 10. We're not coming back. We don't have enough firepower. But when you are part of the Big Three era, and you're playing with Ray Allen and LeBron and Chris Bosh, and
you can do anything.
Listen,
we can come back from 40.
2 minutes left, down 35. Let's pick it up, fellas. Come back and win by 20. That's how you feel.
Yeah.
Right? And so,
That's cool. I'm curious, where do you think you would be in your life if you didn't have great coaches? Where do you think you'd be as an athlete, your career, if you weren't put in the position with great coaching on your side? Do you think you'd still be able to accomplish what you want? Do you think you'd struggle more?
You'd have never heard of me. You never heard of me. I've watched so many great athletes. A lot of great athletes in my neighborhood, in my high school.
Probably more athletic than you, probably.
Way more. Better. more coordinated,
jump higher,
everything. So I've watched it, and I've watched a lot of great athletes not get opportunities, or not have the right mentor. All these things. I got lucky because I had so many great mentors, and it started from a coaching standpoint, and I talk about it in my documentary. I mentioned in my book, I talk about Gary Adams was my high school assistant coach, who was the first person to take me and say, hey, do you want to be great? Before I knew what great was, he was like, do you want to be great? And I was like, yeah. He was like, well, I need you to show up every day. And it was like summertime. I remember.
Right, you're like, I just want to play.
I want to be with my friends. I want to hang out. He was
cool.
like, I'm going to come and pick you up. I'm going to hit the horn one time. You better come out. You better be ready. If you're late one day, I ain't never coming back.
Wow.
If you want to be great, this is what you do. Damn. And every day in the summer after my freshman year, I was in the gym with Gary Adams. And so that was the start of it. My dad was my first coach, but like that was the start of like all these great mentors. Jack Fitzgerald, my high school coach, amazing mentor, amazing, person to help me with this vision of, I think I want to go to college, coach. You know what I mean? All right, well, let's go to some games. You know what I mean? Like my high school coach and my assistant coach, they would take me to games.
College games. To go watch and see.
I went to a Marquette game once. Didn't even know Marquette was a part of my future. I went to a Marquette game. So all these mentors, man, I would be nowhere if it wasn't for people taking, a likeness to me, and me respecting their time, respecting, what they were trying to give me, and just applying it and doing it and being like, I'm open. Give me everything, because I always I wanted different. I didn't want what I seen. I just knew what I would see. I'm like, I don't want this. I want something different for my family. And so every opportunity I had someone that come in my life, I think I felt it. I was like, this person is in my life for a reason. Let me connect with this person. You know what I mean? Like some people that come in your life, you're like, they don't need to be in there. And some people you're like, yo. And so my mentors, my coaches, they were all in my life for a reason. I listened. As hard-headed as I may have been as a kid growing up, I listened to my coaches.
What were a couple of the greatest lessons you remember from some of those coaches, whether it be the high school coach or NBA coaches? Do you remember a couple lessons that really stand out?
The greatest lessons. I would say, I think the thing I carry in life as one of the greatest lessons probably come from Pat Riley and the Miami Heat. I feel that even in business, even as a father, I use a lot of the verbiage, the language, the examples that I learned when I came into the NBA, into Miami. And I talked about this in my retirement speech, is Miami has this thing called culture. Everyone is like, well, what is the Miami culture? And to me, what the Miami culture is discipline, right? It teaches you discipline. It's military in a way, but it teaches you ownership of
the Miami Heat culture.
The Miami Heat culture.
Yeah.
It teaches
not the city of Miami. Culture.
That's why the culture in Miami has to teach you discipline.
Exactly, yeah.
Because the city of Miami.
That's why I was like, okay, I'm making sure, yeah.
The city of Miami is teaching you temptation at its highest.
Course, yeah.
But I would say the lessons that I learned is, and it was mottos in Miami. It was, we're going to be the best condition, the mostest, the toughest. And all of those lessons to me was important, coming from where I come from, not having a lot of structure.
Right.
Not having a lot of discipline. Especially getting into the world of having money, having fame.
And not knowing what to do with this,
not
right?
knowing.
How did you learn to manage fame and finances when it's like you never had it and now you've got an abundance seeming of it?
Making mistakes.
Yeah.
And I've spent a lot of it and done a lot of dumb things, not knowing about it.
Right.
Once you get it, everything that you've ever wanted, you can now have, right? Mm-hmm. And so what are you going to do? You're going to go get it. Right. If you don't know.
Jordan told me to go get it. I'm just going to get what I want. Jordan said go get it. I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
And then I lost it all.
Yeah, you do. And so I think for me, just really, and I just go back to Miami. Miami, the post that Miami had, the hand that Pat Riley put on their shoulder that a lot of people don't like because you kind of feel guided. You kind of feel like a child at time. But the lessons that it taught me about what it takes to build a culture, what it takes to actually win, that's the lessons that I take in my everyday life when I'm building a business, when I'm building a family atmosphere, in my household when I'm working with my wife as partners. I take so many lessons from, my days in Miami and what Pat Riley stands for, of building a culture that is built on discipline, is built on respect, is built on toughness, not giving up, not quitting. The next man is just as important. Like, all these tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's inspiring, man. When someone finds a great coach or someone finds a coach that wants to support them, whether it be as an athlete or in life, what should that student do in your mind? If they see that, hey, someone's showing interest in me, I think they're a good coach, they're great, they could be a great coach, or they've got proven results in the past, how should that student show up to get the best out of it?
What would you do if it was a girl you liked, or a guy that someone was interested in, or a relationship that you wanted and they show interest in you? What would you do? You going towards it if you want if you want it as well.
If you want it, yeah.
Right. So if I want it and you show interest in me, what I'm gonna do?
Yeah,
so that's the same thing, right? It's the same mentality. Is if a coach is showing interest in you and you want to be great, you want to be at this level, then you do what you do when you see that person you want. You go all in. You don't miss that moment, because how, like when you're shy like I was growing up, you miss moments. You miss these opportunities. You're like, dang, next time. It may not be a next time. And so when you have a coach that's really pouring something into you, because it's hard for coaches to pour something to every player. But when they focus on you, when they cussing you out in practice, when they kicking you out of practice, they care in a weird way.
They do.
They do. And so for me, it's gravitate towards that. It's understand that it's certain people is put in our lives for certain reasons, right? And you can miss it. You can miss it. You can let that person go. You can let that person walk out. You can miss that moment because maybe you're not ready.
Yeah.
And so the saying is, stay ready, so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
So when that moment comes, if you find a coach, stay ready, be prepared,
right.
Because this right here can change your entire trajectory in life.
Yeah.
Just by this one mentorship, this one coach, that one experience.
Yeah. Your book is amazing, though. I did go through the digital version of it because I was going through it yesterday. They sent that over. Dwyane, your kind of whole life, your story, your career. But I went through this all that. No, I know everything. I know the halftime. I know everything, even the part you missed. I saw everything in here. I read through this. Really inspiring. I mean, it's an amazing showcase of kind of your life, your story.
Yeah.
But I think what's really cool is the mindset behind the scenes. So I want people to pick up a copy of this, get a copy for a friend or a family member. It shows like everything that you've really been through, which is really cool. And I want people to get this because it's inspiring and it'll be a good piece. You can put it on your
coffee table.
It's
a coffee table book.
It's really cool.
Yeah, man.
It's really cool.
Thank you.
And got stuff about your relationships. I'm curious. I don't know how many people ask you about relationships because you guys put it out there, your relationship. And I think the stigma is that high-profile athletes, high-profile actors, celebrities struggle in intimate relationships. That's the kind of stereotype. You see them get together, then they break up, right? Just curious, what would be the 3 things that someone who is going to build a bigger personal brand, maybe they've got an audience, maybe they're a celebrity or they're going to be a celebrity in some industry or in the world, what would you say are the 3 keys to sustaining a healthy, quality, long-term relationship? Committed.
As a person who's been divorced and made a lot of mistakes
well,
in
that's why you
relationships.
know. That's why you know, because you've made the mistakes. But now you've got this incredible, well, at least seems incredible, relationship and marriage. And what would you say are the 3 keys? Knowing that it's never perfect, but what would those 3 keys be?
I don't know. I know the first one comes to mind is respect.
Respect.
It's respecting what the other person is, what they are, what they bring to the table. Respect, in a relationship, everyone needs to feel respected. And when you come home from a hard day at work and you've been doing this and that, you want to come home and feel like you appreciate it, you're respected for the hard work that you put in and what you provide for the house, right? And so in any relationship, in any partnership, everyone wants to feel, respected for what they bring and what they do. Yeah. And so I think it's the same in any relationship with my wife. She wants to feel, my wife works, she grinds, she's working right now on a movie. She's not home with my daughter, and so I need to make sure she feels appreciated, make sure she feels seen, and make sure she feels respected when she comes to that door. And it's not like, and it's not easy, because my life is so big, and at times I can kind of get in my own life, and I kind of, be like this a little bit, and not trying to be, but that's showing a lack of respect for what she do. and how hard she works and her position. Her position is not to always be behind me. Her position sometimes is to be behind me, to be on side of me, to be in front of me, to whatever, right? It's ever evolving. And so the first thing comes to mind is respect.
Yes.
Go with that.
Okay. Number 2.
Okay. Number 2, be open.
Ooh.
Be open. I feel like when me and my wife first got together, I was a closed-minded person.
Really?
Yeah, when it came to travels, when it came to eating food, when it came to conversations with people. It's still times when my wife got to come in and be like, no, I need you to do this, or you should do this, or this is why you should do this. And I'm like, okay, all right. So be open-minded, and I feel like being open, like if you have a partner in business, be open to his or her ideas. Even if you are the one who started the company, but they're there for a reason.
Right.
So, be open to suggestions, be open to another way. Understand that to lead doesn't mean you always have to lead in the front. So, be open to other ideals. And,
Okay. And the third?
Let's go with that. The third one.
Healthy, long-term, committed, happy relationship. What is that third key?
Let's see, respect, be open, and I would say, because I do a lot of this, I think a lot of people probably see socially, like I do a lot of things, a lot of surprises for my wife. I do a lot of, plan a lot of things. Yeah. And the reason I do that is because we know how it is. Listen, marriage is probably, people probably gonna be mad at me, but marriage is probably one of the most unsexiest things in the world. You get to see behind the curtain of everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you marry, you get to see everything about this person, and it's not the sexiest thing in the world, right? To see everything, and so to keep the spot, to keep you wanting, or your wife wanting, or you got to do these things. You got to go on date nights. Yeah. You got to go, change your hair up. You know what I'm saying? You got to go spend a little money and go out to beautiful places. So for me, I'm like I guess I'm romantic. I think being romantic is a key. I think not just from one side, both sides need the romantic part of it.
That's cool.
If you're gonna be married, you need to keep, you got to keep some of that romantic part. So for me, I feel like it's been spontaneous. It's been adventurous. It's being, for me, not scared to do things that maybe don't look so macho, or we don't do that. It's like, no, my wife actually leaves the house a lot.
Right.
If you want a successful marriage and relationship, your wife actually leaves the house a lot. Yeah. You follow a lot too,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Great, man.
I don't know if those are good ones.
It's good, man. It's great. I love it. I have 2 final questions for you. It's a question I ask called the 3 truths. It's a hypothetical scenario. Imagine it's your last day on earth. You get to live as long as you want to live.
Okay.
And you get to live all your dreams, and everything comes true.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, you've got to take all of your body of work with you. The book, this interview, any interview you've ever done, we don't have access to your information anymore. It's all to the next place. It goes with you or it goes somewhere else. But you get to leave behind. You got a pen and a paper, and you get to write down 3 things you know to be true about life, about your existence, about life, 3 lessons that you would leave behind to the world. And this is all we would have to remember you by. What would you say are those 3 truths for you?
Now, these lessons are just lessons that, what are these lessons?
These are like things that you would say to the world. You know what, if I could share 3 things to the world about the lessons on how to live a great life, what would be those 3 lessons, or 3 things that you feel are true to you that you would want people to know about living a great life?
Well, so the first thing that comes to mind is something simple: hard work. Nothing is accomplished without hard work. And I know some people think, oh, this guy got to hand it to him. No, if you're going to be great, and if you are great, even if you're good, you got to work hard at it. You know what I mean? Like even if you're bad, you actually got to work hard at being bad too. Like so for me, my main message to my son is about the work you put in. It's about hard work.
Okay. Number 2.
That'll be 1. Number 2 lesson that I will leave behind: patience. I believe that as people, we all need a little bit more of this. And and I'm not talking about in every aspect. Some things need to hurry up.
Yeah.
But like we need more patience in traffic. Like we need more patience with each other. We need more patience in relationships to understand that you come from a totally different place than I.
Yeah.
You come from a totally different background. So I need patience to learn, to listen. You know what I mean? And we don't have a lot of that. We're in a world right now where it's cancel, you out. Have some patience. All right, teach me, educate me. So patience.
Yeah, okay. And number 3.
Hard work, patience. And the third one, if I had to leave something, would be energy.
Amen to that.
Energy. I'm a firm believer in the energy you put out is the energy you receive. The way you treat others is the way you know. If you treat someone bad, they may not treat you bad. If you're treating people bad, you may not be treated bad, but somebody in your family may. So you try to treat others like you want people in your family to be treated. You treat others with the respect, with, I look you in the eye when we talk or shake your hand, whatever it is, try to treat people the way you want to be. So the energy you give out, to me, is what you receive back.
Yeah.
So energy.
Great truths, man. I've got one final question, but before I share the final question, make sure you guys get a copy of the book. Really inspiring book. A lot of great lessons, a lot of great images, stories. I mean, you've had an incredible career, and I feel like it's just getting started. This is like, this is period number 2 for you. This is like you had your NBA career. Now it's like you're not even at halftime yet.
Oh, I'm in pregame in my new
pregame.
life. Yeah, I'm in pregame. I'm in pregame in my new life. Yeah.
But get a copy for your friends. And spread the message about the book. Really inspiring book, and I'm glad I got to go through it last night. It was really cool. Before I ask the final question, Dwyane, I want to acknowledge you for a moment for being an incredible human being. Again, all the people I reached out to and asked about you, they didn't talk about how amazing you were as a player. They talked about how incredible you are with your heart. And so I really acknowledge you for the gift that you are, how you show up with energy, how you show up, and the impact you've made. I mean, you're a mentor to so many kids, just the way Michael was for you. You don't even know the impact you've made on so many kids' lives who are now growing up that got to watch you play. Yeah. And so I really acknowledge you for how you've shown up every single day on and off the court. Not perfect human being, obviously, we all make mistakes, but you keep showing up authentically you. And for me, that's pretty cool to watch. So I acknowledge you for that, and I'm rooting for you for many, many years, man. I hope you have a lot of success because you deserve it.
Man, I got a little warm. Thank you, man. I just got a little warm.
Of course, man. And my final question is, what's your definition of greatness?
Consistency. Yeah. To be great, you got to be consistent. You got to do it. You got to do it every day. You think about the greatest player the greatest players or player, depending on what you want to talk about, to ever play the game. It's the consistency in that player. LeBron James is one of the greatest because he hasn't missed a lot of games. Right. He's been consistent. So for me, that's the thing I strive for, is to be consistent and understanding that we are imperfect human beings. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to lack in certain areas. But I try to be a consistent presence, a consistent voice, consistent person. Yeah. And so I feel like if you can focus in on the consistency of life, that's the thing that will get you to greatness. Now, at different times you may get there. It may take you 20 years to get there. It may take you 1 year. But just stay consistent. Stay true to you. Stay consistent to the work. And that's what greatness follows. And I think, and I'm going to mess it up, but Will Smith said this recently. And shout out to Will. He's on his book tour. Yeah. It's weird, too, that his book is called Will and mine's called Dwyane. But he said, and I talked to my son about it, and like I said, I may mess the quote up, but, and I always tell my son, I say, listen, the goal is every day is to put one foot in front of the next, right? Is no matter how hard yesterday was, it's every day get out of bed and something that you believe in and you want, then go at it every day. And if you put enough good days together, you fuck around and have a good life. And to me, that's consistency. It's putting enough consistent days together. You mess around and you have a good life. Whew. And so I tell my son that all the time, and then Will said, and I was like, this is what I was saying. Yeah. So consistency. Yeah.
I love that. My man, thank you very much.
My hand's sweaty. So
good. Appreciate you very much, man.
I mean, it's an obsessiveness that comes along with it. You want things to be as perfect as they can be, understanding that nothing is ever perfect. But the challenge is try to get them as perfect as they can be. And what can you do? It's in your control. So control what you can. I can watch film all day long.